Okay. Mhm. I hope it will work. Do you think? Yeah, it is opening. Okay. I haven't shared the slides. I forgot to do that, but I could do it in the break, but I don't want to take time for it now. So I will give you the presentation now on usability and user experience. We will have a break. How is it again? It's supposed to be 5 minutes past, isn't it? 45 minutes for the lecture. Yep. Okay. So I wanted to talk about, first of all, project 2, and then talk about these fundamental things about the usability and user experience and how we can set goal for these two concepts. Then I would like to talk about how you can compare websites and how you can make a elevator speeds. And this is for the 2 lectures. So you delivered in yesterday, and there you had 3 visions that you have been working on, and you had personas and user groups and all these scenarios. But the main theme in next group assignment is to choose one of the visions to work further on. And you will do that by doing some thorough work. So tomorrow in the problem solving class, you should bring your visions, because you will evaluate or get feedback on your visions from your fellow students. So it will be a joint group work, and participating in that work, you will get 1%. It's an individual assignment to participate in that work. So that is the first thing you will do, gather feedback on all the visions. You also need to, so there you have then you have like the groups evaluation, because you as a group maybe have one favorite vision, but tomorrow you will introduce all the visions to the students and they will give you feedback. And we will do that for half of the groups, or half of the students, and then there is a break and you switch roles. So half of the students will then show their visions and you will give them feedback. Understand? So they'll be switched, split up in half. So after tomorrow, you have your own judgment and you have the students' feedback. I would like you also to find some similar solutions out there to check if maybe this product is already there, or if something similar is on the market. And this could also give you insights into if your vision is actually special, or if it's very similar to other things. So I would like you to find at least 3 comparable solutions to yours for each of the visions you made in project 1. So the first part of project 2, you are still working with all the visions you had. Okay? But based on this, based on the colleagues or student feedback, your own opinion, and the comparable solutions, You can gather pros and cons for each of the visions and choose. And then for the chosen vision, you will make an updated vision. Maybe you would like to take some ideas from the other visions, even though you select one. And then you make a more detailed user group analysis, the one that you did in Greining and Hönnun, where you also analyze the usage of the system. You make an elevator speech, and I will tell you briefly today what that is and how I would like you to phrase it. You are making interviews with people to understand their uses and understand if this is you have understood this the right way. And you make an affinity diagram based on the results from the interviews. And these interviews are contextual. So you haven't learned how to do that before. It is described in the book, and it has, of course, similarities to interviews, but it is also has special sort of special focus. And I would prefer if you do that. If you're not able to do that, you are allowed to do semi-structured interviews, but I would prefer that you do contextual interviews. But despite which interviews you will do an affinity diagram, which is actually structuring the results from the interviews, and you will make new personas for this vision. So this is project 2. So I also made this wonderful drawing, similar to the one that I did for project 1. Did that support you? Yeah. So this is actually how I see it. So you have these 3 visions, and you find 3 comparable websites for each of them. You do evaluation in class, and you summarize the pluses and minuses or pros and cons for each of them. Then here you are deciding on one, and then you do consolidated vision, elevator pitch, more detailed user groups. You do the interviews, personas based on the interviews, and affinity diagram. So there you're stopping for project 2. In project 3, you will start to design based on the affinity diagram. And after project 2, we will have a guest lecturer that will tell you how to do story mapping. Have any of you done story mapping? No, okay. So she will come and Birna Iris, which is working at Landsbankin as a project manager, she will come and lecture on how to do story mapping. Yeah. So the group assignment, you will have to deliver it on 19th of September. Because we need the affinity diagram and personas to be able to do story mapping. And you will do the story mapping exercise here during Wednesday. There was, in the earlier schedule, I had that you were supposed to only deliver in the affinity diagrams here, but now I've decided that you should deliver in all the material here. So I had told you that the deadline for assignment 2 was 1 week later, but there was like a middle one here in the earlier schedule. So I'm changing and saying, well, I need you to deliver in everything here. But then The other ones for 3 and 4 will not change. Okay. So, any questions? I would like to tell you about usability and user experience. And this, the reason why I'm telling you this now is that you could maybe use this when you are giving the other ones feedback tomorrow on their visions and so on. So you could have this in mind when you are thinking about, and also when you are comparing websites for the next project, you should have this in mind. So usability, it is defined this way. And hopefully many of you know this. This is from Greining and Hönnun. So this is from the ISO standard 9241. And but this was originally stated in another ISO standard in 98. And this is, standardization work is really, really thorough. So there are like, I don't know how many people have gathered and discussed this and come to this conclusion that this is the definition. So it's very compact. So we have these things there. We have the product, system, or service. That is what you are making. That is actually what you have visions to make. And you want that to be used by specified users. Specified users are the users you have been analyzing by making the user groups, making a persona, then you're specifying the users, and they achieve specified goals. You've also been thinking about the goals. These are the parameters that we want them to or we are looking at when we talk about usability. So we have 3 measurable parameters for usability, which are effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction. I will tell you a little bit later what these things mean. And then the context of use is also specified. And you did that in project 1, you did that with the context analysis, the 5W and H analysis. Okay, so you have been actually working with this, user goals, users, and the product and the content of use, but you haven't maybe focused on the measurable factors, the factors that really define usability. There's another definition here, which is a little bit easier to understand maybe. So usability is a quality attribute, meaning it's like non-functional. It's something that gives the product some quality, and you can measure the quality. That assesses how easy user interfaces are to use. I really like this one. This is really the if I'm trying to explain my usability to people that are not that into this area, I maybe use this one, but this one is more compact. And the beginning there, the extent to means that we are measuring how much effectiveness, how much efficiency, how much satisfaction. It means how much of this. So each word is really, really important. Okay? Many of you maybe remember this. Do you? Okay, good. Árangur, skilvirkni, ánægja. Maybe for those of you that haven't seen it before, I can briefly tell you about it. So effectiveness is actually you're studying if you can complete something. So you ask the user, could you do this, please? And you are really checking, can the user complete this? If the user is able to achieve it, You're also checking if he did insert the right data. That is the accuracy part. Like how right or how well did the user solve this task? But there's no time limit. It's just, can he possibly ever complete it if he gets all the time in the world? Okay, efficiency is actually related. So you take the accuracy and completeness and you check the resources. How much time usually is it? Or is the user really, really irritated? Did he really put a lot of energy in this? Like how much did he have to suffer or how much time did he need for this? So these are two are very related. And then the satisfaction is more subjective, or it's his way of judging. So it's the positive attitude towards the product. But this is measured while the user is using the system or right after. So it's in during use. When the user is, you typically do like this, you ask the people to do something and you observe them and you maybe measure the time from when he got the task and when he said, I'm finished now. So, and then after solving some tasks, you often have a questionnaire asking them about the satisfaction with the whole system. So this is typically done in usability testing with users. And here I was using some website and they were checking the take-up survey for this website. So they were asking me, how did you find it? And so on. And there was one, were you able to do what you set out to do? This is effectiveness. They're asking me, did you complete what you wanted to? And I told them, I did not find when the schools, something that I wanted to do. And here they are actually checking the satisfaction. How would you rate your satisfaction? So this could also be measured with a small survey like this. This was from, Leicester City Council. So we were checking. I was actually planning to be a guest visitor or guest researcher at Leicester University once. And then we were checking if we could apply for our kids to go to the school. And I was just using the website. And then I got this survey to give them feedback on the website. Okay. Ólöf Haraldsdóttir and Britt Mikkelsen, they were students here at Reykjavik University in 2008 or 9, and they did a study on usability, how important people in the user industry think that usability is. And we wrote a short paper on this in 2009. So there were 82 IT professionals in Iceland that participated. And this was their final project to do this. So they had these questions. Do the professionals think that usability is important, regardless of what software process they are using for project management? And how important is it? And what software processes are they using? And at that time, almost 1/3 were using Scrum, almost half of them their own process, meaning something that they have defined in the company, how they work. And 19% were using other processes. I think now, 7 years later, Scrum is more popular. So it's up to maybe 50-60% in Iceland now. And other agile processes, Kanban and so on, are also popular. So own processes maybe 1/4, 25%. But we were interested in if they think usability is important. And I was a bit disappointed with this result because we asked them to say, yeah, if they strongly agree that usability is important, they agree, or they say, okay. And there was, yeah, other processes, they think it's really, they strongly agree that it's important, on process a little bit less, and Scrum the least out of these. So I was actually worried that this new process was not emphasizing usability, or they didn't have time, or they didn't think users were as important as before, because the results say that a little bit. So actually, this was like some of the inspirations for me to study this further. What do they think about users? How do they integrate users in Scrum, and so on? So I did that actually from 2008 and until now. I've been studying this environment because it has been more and more popular, the Scrum project management process. Yeah, but the positive thing is that none says it's not important. So they are all positive, but yeah, the newest process, they were not as positive. The critique for usability has been that it is very focused on achieving tasks, or completing something. And sometimes, so it is actually very much designed for people that are working. They have this really the task, and they want to be quick. So and sometimes this is not the case. It's like you would like to play games and so on, and then there are other quality factors that are maybe not exactly the ease of use. It's more like maybe that you have fun, or you are engaged, or you are in a flow, or something like that. So you don't necessarily want the game to be over. you know so you're not really solving tasks, and you don't really want it to be fast. So there are other qualities that are important, and then user experience began to have a lot of attention, and this was maybe in 2007, 8, something like that. Before that, it was always usability. So user experience. I don't know when we will have these on our keyboard. That would be nice. We often have this, like when you go through the security check in airports and so on, you're asked to give them a rating for the service. And yeah, but we haven't had it hasn't been that easy to rate software actually yet. The definition of user experience is different to usability. It is the perceptions and responses resulting from the use and or anticipated use. So you could even imagine that you are using something, and you get your perceptions or responses of the product, I mean. And here in the first note, they say user experience include all the user's emotions, beliefs, preferences, perceptions, physical and psychological responses, behaviors, and accomplishments that occur before, during, and after use. So it is much, you see the difference, don't you? So it's more on the emotional side, and it's also, uh, like I told you, usability is, especially here, these definitions are used mostly during use. So you ask the users to do something and you measure this. So it's not often done after use or not before use. But the user experience has much wider. You could actually ask people, what do you think? What are your expectations? And then while using it, you could ask them, how do you feel now? And then, like a month later, what do you think about the software now you have been using it for a month? What is your user experience? So it is a wider concept, and it's harder to define, and it's hard to design for it also. So yeah, it's much more fluffy, but people are really trying to really focusing on this, and it's getting very popular as a concept and in titles and so on. So you could find like UX designers, UX experts as a title. So the experience, you could have all these to explain what the user experience is. It could be satisfying, enjoyable, engaging. So you when you are designing, like let's say you have one vision here, one of your visions from your project, you could actually decide, well, we would like to focus on that it's challenging, or and then that is your goal, and then you would measure that factor of the experience, or it's helpful or fun, or I don't know. So there can be actually very many factors, and you don't have to apply all of them. The ones that you could think about when you are giving your fellow students the feedback tomorrow, you could actually try to think, is it frustrating? Is it annoying? Is it boring? How is your experience? Is it unpleasant? Patronizing, meaning it's steering you too much, or maybe talking down to you also could be. Like you're a small kid that the system is really, yeah, giving orders to, and then maybe, yeah, makes you feel stupid also. So these could be taken into consideration, and here's I like this one. This is like a questionnaire to measure the user experience. This is for kids that they can actually draw what they think. Is it awesome? The one to the right is there. It's awesome. So you can make different questionnaires like this to measure this experience. And some people, yes, I this is maybe the announcement or a message where I've seen it really used. So I was downloading a new version or something, and then they told me, "Well, we are improving your Skype experience." So I thought this was very near to. They could also say, "Just a moment, we are improving your user experience by using Skype." So remember that user experience has these three phases in it. It's the initial phase, the first impression, or even before you see the project, what do you think about it? And then the incorporation phase when you're using it. And this is the usability. How easy is it to use? And then the identification phase, which is more like when you have been using it for a long time, and it's more like that judgment or your personal and social experience is dominant here. And they are really different. If you like, I think it's interesting to have some photos and have some yeah, something visual on my slides. So now I've been doing this for some years, that I just Google like user experience and check the images I get. And if you do that, you get many schematical pictures of how user experience is actually made. This is one of it, that it's the functionality, the usability, the branding, the marketing, and the visual design that all adds up to the experience. But you could get, like, as I say, almost hundreds of these, where people are trying to understand what is really the concepts that make the whole experience. Some people have been working on how to measure the user experience, and Mark Hassenthal, he's a professor in Germany. He's yeah, he's probably the best known person behind this questionnaire, which is called Attractive, and it's open, so it's online. And it has 16 questions, no, sorry, 28 questions on the user experience. And it is standardized, so there are 7 questions for each of the 4 factors that they are measuring. So, and if you use this, you could compare how is my web now compared to 6 months ago, because it's the same questionnaire. Or you could compare how is my product compared to um, other web pages, similar web pages, and so on. And actually, they give you sort of they show you the results in a schematical way. So maybe we should do the short assignment now. It's just an assignment that you can do now. It's not 1%, it's just for fun. So yeah, just for fun, for the user experience. Okay, so what I want you to do is, wait. Æi, af hverju kemur ekki? Nei, við getum bara opnað það. What is this? Begin with your finger outside your screen. Okay. I don't know how to. Okay, so do you all know the RU website? This one, the open website. Okay, so I would like you to fill in the attractive for the RU website. You don't have to put your names on it. I don't have it. Right. Okay. Maybe maybe somebody can lend you. Það hérna Grímur. Nei, heitir ekki Grímur. Jú. Gjör svo vel. Okay, and when you filled it in, we can take a break and we could have it for 10 minutes. Svo vel. Sådan. I could also put it in English if you like. Það bara hvort þið finnst það einhvern veginn vera að tengja þig fólki eða vera svona einhvern veginn einangra þig.